we are now open to accepting refugees again. If they come from South Africa and they're white. Then the plaque on the Statue of Liberty rings true again. If you are white from South Africa and maybe you're feeling a little uncomfortable because of some recent laws that have been passed that could allow for the taking some property potentially and redistributing it to balance out the fact that the very small white minority owns almost all farmland in South Africa and the very large black majority owns almost no farmland in South Africa. They haven't actually seized any land, but there is a law where there could be some redistribution of land if it's deemed necessary. And the Trump administration, which has a number of high-profile people with connections to South Africa, Elon Musk being only one of them, are suddenly very, very concerned about the racial discrimination being practiced in South Africa against whitey. So we got to get him out of there.
Okay, you got to put this all in context.
What?
Of the fact that this is the same administration that's basically shut down all refugee resettlement in this country.
Yeah, right. Right. That's why I said we're open to accepting refugees again. We stopped it. We don't want any Somalian refugees that are fleeing the crisis in Somalia or Palestinian refugees fleeing who are dying or even Ukrainian refugees. We're ready to send them back because for some reason we decided that maybe Russia was.
Or how about this? How about the
like.
Afghan refugees?
Oh, yeah.
Who helped U.S. military personnel.
Yeah.
Who got abandoned by us when we left that country so quickly and have been trying to make their way to the United States because they're under threat of persecution and death in Afghanistan, and we won't accept them. But we not only are we welcoming white quote unquote refugees from South Africa, most of whom are very wealthy landowners, we have paid for charter flights to bring them to the United States. And when they land in Dulles, which is supposed to happen today at Washington, D.C.'s airport, they're going to be greeted by U.S. dignitaries. This is not just being open to refugees.
What is this?
This is rolling out the red carpet
for white people in Africa that might be experiencing some racial discrimination.
Yeah. The one thing I appreciate about this entire story and this administration is it's no longer a dog whistle. It's a bullhorn.
Yeah.
Right?
It's gotten weird.
Remember what Trump said in his first administration? He got upset and said, why are we accepting so many immigrants from blankety blank countries? And why can't we get more people from like Norway?
From Norway.
Which is his way of saying, I want white people, not brown people. And now they're accepting wealthy white people
from the brownest continent on earth,
calling them refugees when there are people of color who are legitimate refugees seeking asylum from real persecution, and we're not chartering planes for them or rolling out the red carpet.
And 80% of the people that seek asylum at the southern border are Christians.
Yes,
that are seeking asylum because they feel their lives are in danger. But we have a group that's trying to root out anti-Christian bias, but not if it happens in another country and results in someone wanting our help.
Who's brown.
Okay, Caitlin, what should a Christian think about this, Caitlin? You're a Christian.
I mean, it seems both patently racist and also like it just kind of panders to certain people who see this as like a signal for the Trump administration's larger kind of social political interests.
Yeah.
Like this is affecting a very small number of people. So that's significant. It's a form of hypocrisy that is like blatantly racially discriminatory, but it also doesn't seem to like actually be a policy that's intended to like do very much for a large group of people. It seems like a policy that's intended to signal to certain people in the US in a pretty explicit way, to Skye's point, the priorities of this administration, which goes back to, I think with the first Trump administration, we were dealing a lot with, okay, it seems like the underlying motivation, or it seems like the eventual effect, or it seems like if you read between the lines, we know what he's doing. It's almost harder in some ways to know how to respond to things that are so blatant and so, I mean, you get to a point, and this is where I think we have to really work in our communities to have good conversations about these kinds of things. It's hard when it's something like this that you're like, you want to scream this is just obviously wrong and bad. Like, even trying to explain to another person why this is wrong and bad feels almost wrong and bad to have to explain it. We've got to both find ways to like actually unpack the both political and then like the biblical reasons for how we're thinking about how we would make judgments about these things, but find ways to communicate well with people who are going to come in with different presuppositions and different biases that will inform how they view these things. Because the part about this that I feel like is going to be really difficult is this is going to be an example where if you're talking with a family member or someone at church about this, it's going to seem to many of us listening like this is just so obviously bad. I don't even know how to talk to someone about why it's bad, and finding ways to be able to do that, I think, is a real challenge, but a really important challenge right now.
Do you think he's doing this, or the administration's doing this, essentially to troll their political opponents? Like this will really get them angry.
A lot of things are
like trolling. Yeah.
The South African government responded. Did you see this in the article?
Yeah.
This is my favorite part. They they responded to the Trump administration and called out their hypocrisy. This is the quote. It is ironic that the executive order by Donald Trump makes provision for refugee status in the U.S. for a group of South Africa that remains amongst the most economically privileged, while vulnerable people in the U.S. from other parts of the world are being deported and denied asylum despite real hardship. Even the South African government gets how ridiculous this is.